Well, there you have it. The Mariners lose another series and yet another sweep. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the series analysis episode of the Seattle Baseline Podcast. My name is Julian Smith, and I'm running solo today. Yeah. So Alex and I, we're we're not at home right now. I mean, very, very clearly, this is not our home, but we will in the next episode we're looking to be able to start um filming together again, and then you'll see both our beautiful faces on YouTube, and you'll get to hear us talk back and forth about what we think of the Mariners. But if you want to know what I think of the series, absolutely horrible. That was You can't get much worse, especially after building a little bit of momentum. All crushed. It's gone. That momentum is gone. And the bright side of it, though, is this is kind of like last year when the Mariners got swept by the Yankees right before the All-Star break, but then they played the Detroit Tigers and they swept the Detroit Tigers. So who knows? We might be able to win the series against Tampa Bay here, who kind of like the Detroit Tigers in 2025 is a pretty big contender for the playoffs this year. So it's lining up to look really similar, and hopefully that's the case. But it seemed like everything went wrong for the Mariners here, whether that be the runners in scoring position, pitchers not being able to pitch in their moments. Bryan Woo looks doesn't look competitive at all in away. He's he's 6-0 in his home versus he's 1-6 in his away. He looks like an ace at home, and then all of a sudden just forgets how to pitch in the away games. I don't know what the problem is there. The He just has to figure it out. Maybe whether that be a mental thing, whether that be a T-Mobile Park is that much easier to pitch, which I doubt that it. T-Mobile Park is the easiest ballpark to pitch in, but I doubt that T-Mobile Park gives you the ability to pitch like an ace, whereas in the other stadiums you pitch like you're a minor leaguer. That's I don't think, or I know that's not what T-Mobile Park does for most pitchers. And seeing as last year Bryan Woo was one of the best pitchers in the league, he has he has the repertoire, he has the ability to pitch in those situations. He just needs to remember what he did last year, and the All-Star break hopefully is a good break for him to figure that out. When it comes to the offensive side, runners in scoring position was awful. Bryce Miller has his first actually bad start. He gives up 5 runs, and you really you can't win that way. It's that's not how you win games. And sure, Julio Rodriguez is gone. Sure, Brendan Donovan hasn't been on this team for most of this year, a guy that was supposed to be a massive catalyst for the offense. This this team went into this season saying, "Hey, we're going to try to win the World Series." And right now, it doesn't look like that. It looks like a team that's a borderline playoff 500 team, and that's not good enough. That's not making the playoffs. Obviously, that's the goal, but making the playoffs after what happened last year wasn't the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal was saying, "Hey, we were 7 outs away from a World Series, and we're going to go and build a team around the core that we have in Julio Rodriguez and Cal Raleigh that's going to get us to that finish line. And we are going to win the World Series." That's what the Mariners set out to do this year. And when we look at it right now, it's a 500 team. Literally, we are sitting at 500 currently. So what's going on there. That's what we need to figure out because we have the core group. Sure, Cal Raleigh's not hitting 60 home runs this year. Actually, he's been quite awful. Sure, Julio Rodriguez has been injured a lot, and your biggest trade asset has been injured for almost the entire season. But the rest of your team should be good enough that you are confident you can make a playoff without them. Because if you can make a playoff without them, that means that when your stars are there, you can make the World Series. You can't barely make the playoffs with all your stars. The pitching staff built so much momentum going into this series, and it just got squashed. It's something that I don't think the trade deadline is going to fix. They need to figure it out during the All-Star break. And what are they going to do to fix the issues that we see in them? Whether that be are we going to look at pitches differently? Is hunting the fastball actually not the right strategy? And maybe you hunt a secondary pitch. Maybe you adapt to each pitcher. What is this pitcher throwing? We're going to hunt that because when we look back at the Detroit Tigers series last year, when we swept the Tigers after getting swept by the Yankees, Julio Rodriguez hunted the changeup from Tarek Skubal, the best pitch that he had, instead of hunting the fastball, and that's how he got the home run. And so that's something that I think the Mariners should be thinking about. What can we do to adapt to the current situation, and how can we move forward with it? I At this point, I really don't think that there's much more to be added to this Marlins series when it comes to like analysis because it's the same analysis that we've been giving for basically the entire season. Runners in scoring position, hunting the pitch, the Brian Wu being not competitive. The only thing that's actually new here is that Bryce Miller gave up his worst start of the year. So I think it's time to move on to the Rays series. And when it comes to the Rays, kind of like the Marlins. So the Marlins going into the series, they weren't like the Marlins. Like they weren't like the bad team, the White Soxes and the Colorado Rockies of 2025. They were actually a good team. They had a 49-42 record going into the Mariners series, and they were pretty good. And so the what made them what made their record so good was that their record in the past month was astronomically good. It was one of the best, or it was the best record in Major League Baseball. And going into this Rays series, it's actually really similar. The Rays have been one of the best teams in the league so far. And in the American League, they're the number one. They are almost at a 60% win rate. And the Mariners going into this series need to know that we are basically going into what was the Tigers series of last year. And I mentioned the Tigers series there because that's what it is. Facing the Yankees and then the Tigers before the All-Star game was kind of like the way that we're facing the Marlins and then the Rays this year. And so the Rays have been an extremely good pitching staff to batting. Junior Caminero just came out of a home run. What's it called? Junior Caminero just finished a home run streak on July 1st. He's been one of their better hitters. Chandler Simpson, even though his overall stats aren't as good, he's been warming up. He's been last 7 games and then last 15 games show the whole story. He's been really leveling it up. And even though he doesn't take a lot of walks, he plays very similar to how Ichiro plays in the sense that he gets the bat on ball and then he runs. He will take off and get to first. It's the same style that Ichiro played, and Chandler Simpson does that. And so he's not their leadoff hitter, but I wouldn't be surprised if they put him at leadoff in the second and third game just because of how he's playing as recently. He's been a completely different player since the start of the season, and then looking at it now. And then the Rays the Rays are definitely going to benefit from him being in the 5 spot because having a guy that's hitting 370 in your 5 spot is how you win games. That's how you get people on base. On base means more pitch count. On base means more pressure on the pitcher, and that's how you build to get the killer home run. If you can get the killer home run, then you win the game. So this is where I think the Mariners can outpitch the Rays. I don't think that right now counting on the Mariners to out hit the Rays is the smartest move. I think the Mariners need to limit the Rays to three runs at the most, and then the offense needs to give just enough to win these games. In the last series against the Marlins, you had a game where it was 5-6. You didn't get enough, but only because the pitching wasn't competitive. If the pitching was competitive there, you win the game. If Bryce Miller is competitive in game 3, you win that game because Mariners scored 4 runs. And so the Mariners need to make sure that they score just enough runs. This isn't a team that's built on offense. This is a team that's built on pitching. The defense can't let us down, and the pitching needs to make sure that it shuts down the Tampa Bay Rays. And then you know what? Maybe we follow the exact same blueprint that we did last year. Sweep the Rays, go into the All-Star break. Julio comes back, all is good. That's what I'm hoping for. And before or yeah, that's about it. With the Rays, there is some stuff that we definitely need to watch out for when it comes to the offense, and that's the home run power from certain guys, and then Chandler Simpson. You've got all these guys can get on base. So the Mariners pitchers need to watch the pitch count, and hopefully this is where the 6-man rotation helps us get to 100 pitches and 6 innings, 7 innings. The Mariners just need to do just enough and they can win the series. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and our beautiful faces on YouTube. Check out our Instagram. And as always, go Mariners.